Kristen Baver's new book, Skywalker, A Family at War, came out just a couple days ago. I haven't had the chance to read it yet, but a few people have pointed out a very interesting passage about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I first saw it from my friend Numidian Prime on Twitter. You might recognize him because he's helped me on a number of videos in the past. He's great at catching little details and connections. I'll link to his Twitter post and blog in the description. But he noticed a passage about halfway through the book about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his experiences on Tatooine after the events of Revenge of the Sith. It says, before he and Yoda had parted ways, the old Jedi revealed that Obi-Wan's beloved master, Qui-Gon Jinn, had returned from the netherworld of the Force, manifesting his conscious mind even after death. It took 10 years, but eventually Obi-Wan was able to commune with his dearest friend, resurrected within the cosmic force. Now that isn't exactly news on the surface. We knew Obi-Wan learned to commune with the cosmic force and Qui-Gon. We've seen it in stories already. But it's interesting that the book specifically states that it took Obi-Wan 10 years to pull it off. And it just so happens that the Kenobi series, which goes into production this month, takes place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. This doesn't have to mean anything, it might not. I'm usually pretty skeptical on these things, but the specific mention of 10 years seems too specific to ignore. Why put a date on it at all? Why not just say, and then Obi-Wan eventually learned to talk to Qui-Gon? I want to make it clear that this is not confirmation of anything, it shouldn't be taken as such, but half of my brain is like, come on, buckle up for some more Qui-Gon Jinn. I think it makes complete sense. We know there's going to be some action in the Kenobi series. They're touting it as the rematch of the century on StarWars.com. Hayden Christensen is returning as Vader. That's all great. Obviously, I'm excited to see it, but I've also really been hoping we'd get to see some trippy Force stuff, and this series feels like a perfect opportunity. We've seen Yoda go on his quest to the Wellspring of Life to learn from the Force priestesses and face his darkest self so that he could also become one with the Force. I don't think we have to or will see Obi-Wan do that, but I would love to see him go on like a vision quest in the desert. Maybe he finds a cave just like on Dagobah or Ahch-To, and he can also face his darkest self, or the failures of his past. It seems odd to me to bring Hayden back to Star Wars only to have him wear the Vader suit the whole time. We could see him without the helmet or in the bacta tank, sure, but it would be great to see visions of what could have been. The dark side could torment Obi-Wan with a vision of Anakin if he hadn't fallen, or we could see flashbacks of their time together during the Clone Wars. I know that's been rumored for quite a while. Whatever it is, I think it would be cool if the flashbacks served a purpose in Obi-Wan's spiritual journey. It wouldn't just be a flashback for the sake of fan service, although to be clear, I'm not going to complain if that's all it is. But to have Obi-Wan struggle with his failures and deal with the trauma of his past to come out of it the other side more sure of himself sounds like a very Star Wars idea to me. I can see this series being about how the sad and beaten Obi-Wan we left in Revenge of the Sith becomes the more confident and wise Jedi Master we see in not only A New Hope, but also Star Wars Rebels, as he tells Maul, "Look what I have risen above." He's changed, and I think the Kenobi series will show us how he worked through his grief and trauma rather than let it consume him alone in the desert. And I'm hopeful we see that both in a literal confrontation with Vader, but also a more metaphorical and spiritual confrontation of his own doubts and fears. All that from just one line in a book, but I do think there's something there. I'll be reading through it myself soon, so I'll try to keep an eye out for more things like that. But for now, you can check out the book by the great Kristen Baver for yourself, or go follow Numidian Prime because he's reading the book right now. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Star Wars coverage, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.